today is Christmas Eve. I'm in Plaza Mayor, and this marks the beginning, the very first episode of a video for When in Spain, for the new When in Spain YouTube channel. So, as I said, I'm here right in the centre of Plaza Mayor, as you can see and probably hear. I'm going to take you around the Christmas market in a minute. So this episode, what is it like to spend Christmas in Spain? Obviously I'm comparing it to my experiences back in the UK, and well, there are some similarities, but yeah, I think in a way Christmas does feel quite different in Spain, actually, for me personally. The calendar is a bit different, the food is certainly different as well. The atmosphere is a little bit different too, I suppose. So today is Christmas Eve, as I said. It's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, lunchtime. Plaza Mayor is absolutely heaving with people, as you can probably see. And Christmas Eve, well, in Spanish it's known as Noche Buena, the good night. Noche Buena is Christmas Eve. And Christmas Eve really is the day when most families eat their main Christmas meal. So they'll have their Christmas dinner actually on Christmas Eve, quite late, unlike in the UK and I believe America, where Christmas dinner is usually on the 25th, on Christmas Day. So Noche Buena. Tomorrow is the 25th, which is Christmas Day. Christmas Day is a bit more of a kind of chill out day, I think, really. Some families have their Christmas meal on Christmas Day, but really on the 25th, it's more for eating the leftovers, vegging out on the sofa, because most people will probably stay up pretty late on Christmas Eve, as I probably will be tonight. Most people will stay up partying, eating their Christmas meal pretty late, probably around 10, 11 o'clock, and then we'll continue drinking until the small hours. So that's Christmas Eve and that's Christmas Day. I know in the UK and in United States and some other countries we have Boxing Day. Well, Boxing Day does not exist in Spain. Boxing Day actually is a normal working day here. The 26th is a normal working day, Dia Laboral. It's not a holiday. So some people may be working on the 26th. Other people maybe not. Some people decide to take, depending on their work, from Christmas Eve right through till 26th, 27th, 28th, right through to New Year's, basically. A bit like some people do in the UK. I've just come to a bit more of a quieter corner of the square. So that's the 26th. It's a normal working day. A lot of people will go to work, unlike in the UK. Other special days around the Christmas period. Well, the 28th of December is called El Día de los Santos Inocentes, which means, well, it's the Spanish, the innocent saints, but it actually means, well, it's actually the equivalent of April Fool's Day. So the April Fool's Day that we celebrate on the 1st of April, certainly in the UK and I believe in the United States and many other countries, 1st of April actually happens on the 28th of December. Of course, the other holiday is New Year's Eve, Noche Vieja, the old night, on the 31st. And, well, again, compared to back home where most people go out sort of drinking and partying quite early on, sort of by 7 or 8 o'clock, people are out at parties, in pubs, bars. Here in Spain, actually, the big thing to do is have a sit-down meal with your family, at home quite late, probably about 11 o'clock, 10:30, 11. You'll have your New Year's Eve meal. A lot of people will actually celebrate and see in midnight at home just after they've finished eating, and then we'll go out afterwards until the very, very small hours, celebrating either to bars, nightclubs, or they might stay at home but stay up very late as well. But the big difference is really that people go out much later on New Year's Eve here in Spain compared to my experience back in the UK, for example. And also the New Year's Eve meal, dinner,
is a very big deal here as well, whereas back home in the UK, no one really is bothered about having a big sit-down meal. They just want to go out and start drinking as soon as possible, usually. So that's New Year's Eve. And then, in Spain they have really two Christmases, I would say, because on the 6th of January, it's called Three Kings, Los Reyes Magos, which is on the 6th of January. It's a day for the family, and it's another day where people give presents, exchange presents. Depends on the family. I've spoken to lots of my friends about this, and some say that with their immediate family they exchange presents on the 25th. And then on the 6th of January they exchange presents with their extended families as well. So they kind of have 2 days where they exchange presents. But this does tend to depend on the family, really. Each family has their own tradition. But I would say, Los Reyes on the 6th of January is a very important day in Spain for celebrating the religious festival, but also for spending time with family and exchanging presents. It's another day where there will be a big sit-down meal with the family. So that's the calendar. Those are the key days that we have here in Spain around the Christmas time. It does seem to be very drawn out, because really from today, which is the 24th, Christmas Eve, right the way through until the 6th of January, it does feel like a very kind of the whole period is a festive season, so the whole period really, the timetables are a bit off kilter, people are not working, things seem to be closed, everything's a bit quieter than usual. Life doesn't really get back to normal again, I would say, until after the 6th of January. So you do get the sensation there's a very long period of time to be celebrating, Christmas, New Year's, and then after New Year's you've got Los Reyes, whereas I suppose back in the UK really you feel like the festive season is over on New Year's Day, the depressing 1st of January, it's all over. But here, you still got after New Year's, January the 6th as well.
So let's have a look around the market here in Plaza Mayor. In Plaza Mayor, every year they set up the Christmas market for about 2 weeks in the run-up to Christmas. So it's really the only big Christmas market as such in the centre of Madrid, and selling all sorts of different things, Christmas related, toys, costumes, hats, Christmas hats, little Christmas decorations for your Christmas trees. A lot of school kids on the 28th, on the Spanish April Fool's Day, on the Dia de los Santos Inocentes, quite often dress up in silly hats and wigs, so they sell all of these things here as well. But the other really lovely thing, Christmas lights. The other really nice thing that they sell, which is a kind of classic here in the Christmas market in Plaza Mayor, is, if you can see here, they're called Belén. You can see at the back there, Belén is a nativity scene. And they sell all of the figures for the Belén de Navidad, the Christmas nativity scene. You can see up there they've also got little, what are called pesebres. Pesebres are little mangers, things like that. All sorts of different animals, all of the little details. Got little buckets, little baskets of fruit to decorate your nativity scene with, trees, animals, a bit of everything. So there are lots of stalls selling these items. They're quite expensive actually, but talking about the Belén de Navidad, the Christmas nativity scene, really popular in Spain. I would say a lot more popular than back home in the UK. Nearly every house will have their own little Christmas nativity set up in their living room, in their lounge. You'll see them in shop windows. So they are really, really popular. possibly, I would say, more popular than Christmas tree. I think a Christmas tree at home, in Spanish homes, a Christmas tree is more of a modern phenomenon, really. I think the real tradition is to have your nativity scene, your Belén, set up at home. Obviously, people do a lot more now these days have Christmas trees set up at home. Here's another stall selling absolutely tons of them. They're absolutely tiny. We've got ducks, geese, squirrels, owls, little tables with fruit on. Here we've got the religious figures. Mary, three kings on camels. Loads. As always in Plaza Mayor, there are lots of hawkers selling, I don't know, plastic toys. That sound, the annoying sound you can hear in the background is like a sort of squeaky whistle thing. Bangers are being sold. But that's not really unique to Christmas in Plaza Mayor. Only really, they're here all year round, selling stuff to tourists. What have we got here? A giant panda and a giant koala dancing here in the middle. Different. We've got some people singing carols. And if we head over to this side of the square here, we have got a really big Belén de Navidad set up here, telling the story of Christmas. So going back to Los Reyes, I said it was celebrated on the 6th of January. On the 5th of January, during the evening, many towns and cities around Spain have a procession of the three kings. So you have three guys dressed up as the three kings, and they do a big procession through the centre of the cities. And there's like a float. Some of them have animals, horses, and no camels, as I believe I've never seen any camels. Sometimes these processions have caused a little bit of controversy because some of the three kings have blacked up their faces with boot polish, or I don't know. And a lot of people obviously, feel a bit uncomfortable about it. Don't know whether if it's really not really politically correct to be blacking yourself up. But that's what happens on the 5th. So this is supposedly the three kings are bringing the presents on the 5th, delivering them on the 5th for the morning of the 6th. And the tradition here in Spain on the 6th of January is for the children to leave out a pair of shoes, and the pair of shoes are filled with presents. Obviously that goes back to a long time ago when presents were much smaller. So here we've got some Christmas trees being sold in the square. Not a very common sight, really. I think to find a natural Christmas tree in Spain is quite difficult, actually. We got a real one this year. We had to order it via an internet page, and they delivered it. Most people will have an artificial tree, which is, it's the case back home in the UK as well. It's more practical often just to have an artificial tree, but it's nice to see some real Christmas trees here in the square. The lovely smell of pine. Also got hanging up here mistletoe or muerdago. I didn't know that word before, but mistletoe, muerdago, quite difficult to say. It's a gorgeous, warm, sunny afternoon here on the 24th. I'm wearing quite a big coat, but I'm really warm. It's probably about 14 or 15 degrees, I would say. Really nice and mild, quite actually warm in the sunshine. where recently it has actually been very cold. So it's the first really, really mild day for about a week or two. So here we've got more wigs, toys. Glasses and novelty jokes. And here, this lady, you're probably thinking, why is she selling moss? Moss, little bags of stones, little bags of straw or hay. This is to decorate the nativity scene, and I've seen this a lot. So people quite often go out and collect moss, although I think it's now illegal to collect moss from woodlands and gardens and parks. But here they're selling it, moss. So this is what people will use to decorate the floor of the nativity scene. One thing I didn't find, well, to be honest, I didn't expect to find here in Madrid, but it's something that's really specific to Catalonia, is something called, what's it called? Oh yeah, it's called a cagatío. And it's a shitting, well, it translates as a shitting uncle, but or a shitting mate, but it's actually a log, a wooden log, with a sort of small wooden log, with a face painted on it, and it wears a little hat. What's the hat called? A hat's called, I think, what's it called? The hat's called a barretina, which is kind of typical Catalan style hat. And it's a strange tradition. I don't know why in Catalonia they seem to have a slight obsession with all things scatological, because there's another, well, I'll talk about that in a minute, but this, anyway, the log, what you have to do, what children do, is they have it in the house or their school in the run up to Christmas, and they feed the log with orange peel or lemon peel, and then on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day what they do is they hit the log with a stick, and the tradition has it that the log is supposed to, shit turron, shit candies, which is like turron, as many of you probably know, it's like a hard nugget, sugar and eggs, and the log is supposed to poo turron. Curious, I don't know where the tradition comes from. I have not seen any here in Madrid, obviously, but in Catalonia that's a Christmas tradition for children. So we've left Plaza Mayor behind, thank goodness actually, because it was pretty noisy there, a bit too noisy for my liking, packed with people. So we're now going to head not far away up to Sol, which is the geographical centre of Madrid. Why am I taking us up there? Well, I'm going to show you where it's traditional for many people to celebrate their New Year's Eve. A bit like, I don't know, in London, people congregate by the river, or Trafalgar Square is a traditional place to congregate, or by Big Ben. In Madrid, it's Plaza del Sol, right in the centre, to listen to the chimes of midnight. So we're going to head down there now. So here we are in Sol, Plaza del Sol. There's the legendary Tío Pepe neon advertisement up there. We've got the Christmas tree in the middle. Got some people dressed up as cartoon characters there. And there, just in front of me, as you can see, the clock tower of the Presidencia de la Comunidad de Madrid, which is like the community of Madrid's city hall, I suppose. Well, the community is not just the city, it's sort of the surrounding boroughs, I suppose, as well. But anyway, it's like the city hall for the community of Madrid. And at the top is the clock tower. Can't see it very clearly because the sun is, because of the position of the sun, the light is messing with the camera lens. But that's the clock tower which chimes the 12 strokes of midnight. And just above it is a gold ball. You can't really see it. Inside the little tower above the clock is a gold ball, and the gold ball gradually lowers as the clock chimes. What do people do? Well, this will be this square, which is amazingly very, well, not really amazing, I suppose, it's very empty today. Why? Because it's Christmas. Lots of people have left Madrid. Lots of people are at home, I suppose, preparing for tonight. So for an afternoon in La Puerta, for the afternoon in La Puerta del Sol, there aren't as many people around as usual. So on Christmas Eve, but on New Year's Eve, this will be absolutely gridlocked with people. You won't be able to move. And what is the tradition? Well, with each chime of midnight, absolute classic, I think lots of people know about this tradition. With each chime of midnight, the 12 chimes, you eat a grape. So people will come armed not only with, I don't know, a bottle of cava, the Spanish sparkling wine, or other booze. They will come with 12 grapes. Sometimes the 12 grapes are threaded onto a stick, which I've seen or done in the past. And sometimes they come in a little plastic container. People will buy a little plastic container of grapes. Each chime, so every chime you eat one grape. Sounds quite easy, actually. By the time you get to the 6th chime, your mouth is kind of full of grapes. You can't chew them down, swallow them quick enough. But that's the tradition. To come to, if you don't stay at home, many people come to the Puerta del Sol to listen to the 12 chimes and to eat their grapes. And the square and the clock is televised as well. So this is what you will see on national television across the country, this square here. So I'm just walking up one of the main shopping streets in Madrid called Calle de Preciados. And as you can see, Christmas Eve, absolutely packed with people. It's really busy. So people still doing last minute Christmas shopping. And as we head up here, on the left-hand side, we've just left the square, or the Puerta del Sol. Up Preciados, on the left here is one of the many El Corte Inglés department stores here. And at the back of El Corte Inglés is something which is mítico, legendary, classic thing to do if you've got children here in Madrid, is to bring them to a thing called Cortilandia. Cortilandia is the Casa Labra. It's a very typical, very classic old tapas bar that's famous for its croquetas and bacalao. Very cheap, but it's become very touristy now. Anyway, we're going to head down to the back of El Corte Inglés to Cortilandia, and then I will explain what it is. So this is Cortilandia. It's a kind of Christmas scene made up of, I don't know, well, you can see what it is. I like moving plastic puppets and dolls with music. It's like a Christmas scene, courtesy of El Corte Inglés. Not that exciting, really, is it? I think maybe it looks better at night when it's dark and it's lit up a bit more. But if I zoom in a bit, you can see that the characters' mouths are kind of moving. It's very famous here in Madrid, Cortilandia. I'm not quite sure how many years they've been setting up this at Christmas time. But yeah, it's a classic thing for parents to come and bring their children to see, I suppose at least once during the Christmas shopping expedition in the centre of Madrid. Yeah, different. Cortilandia, obviously a play on Corte Inglés, Cortiland. So there we go, classic. So we're going to leave the kids with their parents watching the Cortilandia espectáculo. Yeah, it's fun, I suppose. It's a little bit tacky, I think, but the kids love it. So anyway, that's the back of El Corte Inglés. El Corte Inglés, the big department store, open. Everything's open today, actually. Christmas Eve. Over Christmas, opening times, things like that. Yeah. Restaurants. Most shops will be closed on Christmas Day. Some restaurants will be open, but obviously, unless you've got a reservation, it'll be super difficult to get in anywhere to eat. But Boxing Day, for me, Boxing Day, or the 26th, as I said earlier, is a completely normal working day. So you can go out and eat, shop. Mind you, you can do that back in the UK as well these days as well. Most things are open. Well, nearly everything's open on Boxing Day. Okay, so I've just ducked around into Plaza de San Martin to get a bit of escape the loud music from Cortilandia. So next stop after Cortilandia is going to be a lottery ticket shop, very famous in Madrid, called Dona Manolete. Why is this famous? Well, because the Christmas lottery here in Spain, which has already happened on the 22nd, a couple of days ago, is a really big deal. So I'm going to head up and show you Dona Manolete and explain the significance of that in a second. On my way there, let's just talk for a second about religious ceremonies, Mass. Do people go to Mass here in Spain at Christmas? Absolutely they do. Less popular than it was before. Obviously many younger people these days don't attend Mass. Similar to the UK, it's less popular, but it certainly happens. And here in Spain it's called La Misa del Gallo, the rooster mass, or the mass of the rooster, gallo being rooster. I don't know why it's called that, to be honest. No idea. But yeah, people will go to Mass either just before their Christmas dinner on the 24th, on Christmas Eve today, or they will go just afterwards, depending on what time they finish eating. Christmas dinners, New Year's Eve dinners do tend to go on for a very long time. You know, I've spoken before in the podcast about this thing called la sobremesa, sitting and talking over the table way after you've finished eating for quite often, well, sometimes can be for hours, for a very long time. Anyway, so let's go and find the Dona Manolete. So here I am outside the Dona Manolete lottery ticket office. As it says there, Loterías y Apuestas del Estado. Why is this famous? It's famous because Dona Manolete's tickets office seems to have sold in the past an unusually high amount of winning tickets. So many people believe that it's a lucky place to buy your ticket. The lottery's been called, the Christmas lottery in Spain is called El Gordo, the fat one. Maximum prize money from a winning ticket is something like 400,000 euros. It's been going for a long time. It's been going since 1812. If you were here a couple of days ago, there would have been a huge queue all the way down the street here. I mean, I came here a couple of days ago, and there was something like, it must have been well over 100 people queuing, and this queue did not disappear. It was there all day long. In fact, it was there for several days. So we'll leave Dona Manolete behind, head back down towards Sol. One thing I should also mention, when they call the lottery on the 22nd, it's quite a curious thing for me. I find it quite amusing. What happens is it's televised, obviously. It lasts about 5 hours, and each winning lottery ticket number that's drawn is called out by children from a local school in Madrid, and they actually sing the numbers as they go. It's quite quite bizarre. I'll just show you a clip now.
1.546.000.
So there you go, yeah. All of the lottery numbers being called out. That goes on for hours and hours and hours. It goes on for ages. And there's actually a live audience there watching it as well. I'm always quite surprised to think that people go out, make an effort to go and sit down and watch that live for 5 hours just to hear children singing out numbers. And I don't know if you noticed in the clip, the kind of surly, miserable, bad-tempered looking adjudicators sat monitoring the lottery numbers as they were called out. Anyway, yeah, it's really traditional in Spain, the Christmas lottery, El Gordo. Really something that's very traditional. Most people will buy a ticket. They're quite expensive, about 20 euros per ticket. There are obviously syndicates where people work. Families go in. Me and my fiancée actually bought one with her family. So most people have at least one lottery ticket for El Gordo during the Christmas period. Of course, Christmas would not be Christmas without, food. Overindulging in Christmas food. One difference that really strikes me with Spain compared to, say, the UK is that, in the UK we always have turkey, pretty much. If you don't have turkey, you have some kind of bird, usually goose or duck. But for their Christmas meals here in Spain, it's traditional. Well, there isn't really anything that's really super traditional. A specific dish that you eat depends on the family, depends on what you like. So it could be seafood. Could be prawns, for example, or a selection of different types of seafood. It could be meat of some description, usually pork or lamb. For example, in Catalonia, there is a very particular type of soup or stew, which is called escudella, which contains 4 different types of meat, pasta and vegetables, and a kind of broth as well. A couple of my friends suggested that a dish called huevos rellenos or huevos al serrín are quite traditional to have at Christmas. These are like hard-boiled eggs mixed, which are hollowed out. The yolk is hollowed out, and the yolk is then mixed with tuna, and then served with some kind of mayonnaise dressing and tomato and lettuce. Apparently that's a traditional thing to have, but really, yeah, most Spanish families, when they get together to have their Christmas meal on the 24th or the 25th, or indeed on the 6th on Los Reyes, tend to have either some kind of meat, seafood, or fish, or a combination of those things. But it can vary, and it can change from year to year, and it can change from
family to family. So there's not like in the UK or the States where you have pretty much every year the same kind of thing: turkey, duck, or goose. So that is what you might have for the main meal. But what about sweets and that kind of thing? Well, there's no such thing. They don't have Christmas. They don't have Christmas pudding. They don't have Christmas cake. But what they do have is this thing here, which I've just found in a window of a pasteleria, and it's called a roscón de Navidad. It's like, that's quite an ornate one. This is in quite a kind of high-end patisserie, and what you have, what it is, it's like a big round giant donut with well, some of them are just plain. Contains, as you can see there, kind of candied fruit, orange, lemon peel. It's glazed in sugar and icing. Many of them contain just this thing here. This one is in the design of a snake by the looks of it. Many of them contain fresh cream, and many of them contain a substance called truffa, which is like a sort of chocolate cream, and some of them contain a mixture of truffa and regular cream. And there is another tradition that goes with the roscón de Navidad. The roscón is usually eaten on around the time of Los Reyes, 6th of January, and each roscón de Navidad contains a little toy. And if you are lucky enough to get the slice of roscón, there's another one here which is a little bit more traditional. If you're lucky enough to get the slice that has the toy in, it's your responsibility to buy the roscón de Navidad for the next year. What else is traditional in terms of sweets? Well, it's very common, not just especially at Christmas, but not just at Christmas. Turrón, as you can see here in the shop window. You have turrón, different types of turrón. Now, turrón normally is like a kind of what we might call in the UK nugget. It's quite hard, with almonds in it, made of egg white, sugar. You can see some in packets down here. Turrón de Alicante. And there's two types. You can get hard turrón, which breaks your teeth. I'm not a big fan. It's very, very sweet. Here's another one here, a round one, turrón de Alicante. It's very sweet, and you can get a soft version as well. What else have we got here? Here we've got the Christmas logs, not the ones like in Catalonia that shit turrón, but these are just your usual Christmas logs. What else have we got here? Yeah, at the back there, these are quite common at Christmas. Pastel yema and pastel gloria. I'm not quite sure about pastel gloria, but yema means egg yolk. It's like a sweet egg yolk based small cake. Here you've got all of your turrones, different types of flavors, and the other common thing which they have at Christmas, I think it's called polvoron, which are like kind of shortcake cookies, super dry. They come in bright coloured. Let's see if they've got them here. No, here's a little selection box of sweets, but they haven't got the polvoron. Polvoron, like I said, they're like little round cookies, nearly always wrapped up in brightly coloured wrappers. They look a bit like sweets, and at first you see them in all the supermarkets. And at first, when I saw them, I was like, "Oh wow, these look good. They must be like some kind of chocolate or something like that." But indeed, no, they're not. They're not chocolate. They're really super dry cookies with various different flavours, very sweet, covered in sugar. I'm not a fan. Yeah, not great. But anyway, this is a little patisserie just off Gran Via called Horno San Onofre. Quite a well-known one. Although I've never been in there before. So that's still open. Christmas Eve,
about 4:30. So I think I'm going to wrap up the very first When in Spain video episode. Thank you for watching. As you can see, it's got pretty dark now here in Madrid. Christmas Eve has actually finally arrived. I'm on Gran Via. You can see some of the Christmas lights there behind me. Just a few final thoughts, really. Are there any things that we do back in the UK or maybe in the US, other countries, that don't happen here in Spain for Christmas? One thing I will say, that the sending of Christmas cards is really not done here. It's not common at all. You don't really see people, when you go to their houses at Christmas, you don't really see them with Christmas cards on their mantelpiece or hung up on the walls. People don't tend to send or receive them, and they're actually quite hard to find as well. You don't see Christmas cards really in any of the shops. You can find them, for example, in El Corte Inglés, and I think maybe it's something that's becoming a little bit more common, a bit more popular, but still not really. I think, whereas in the UK, certainly, I think sending Christmas cards to certainly family and close friends is still quite important, and I think people would get a little bit upset if they didn't receive a Christmas card, possibly. Although I'm really bad at sending Christmas cards now I've said that, but here, no, it's not really the done thing. Anything else really that is not done here? Advent calendars aren't very common. A couple of years ago I gave some advent calendars which contained chocolates to my nieces, and they didn't really know what they were. One of them just opened all the doors at once and ate all of the chocolates until I explained that no, you have to open one door each day, counting down the days to Christmas. So advent calendars aren't really that popular, although they are becoming a bit more popular now as well. Christmas music, well, yeah, it's not as festive as back home, in the sense that I don't really tend to hear many of the classic Christmas pop songs, Christmas number ones from years gone by. You do sometimes hear them in some shops here, but it's not quite the same as back home. So maybe I kind of miss that a little bit. Some people have asked me, is Spain as festive as the UK? Well, certainly don't get white Christmases here in Madrid, even though it does snow out in the mountains. And it's been incredibly mild and sunny today. Mind you, where I'm from in Oxford, it rarely snows over Christmas either. In fact, it hardly ever snows. We almost never have a white Christmas. So in terms of festivities, yeah, I mean, there's lots of Christmas lights, Christmas trees, more and more shops, bars make an effort making the places feel festive. And when does Christmas start? I mean, in a way, Christmas in the UK has really become very commercialised in the last 20 years or so, if not more. I mean, I think really Christmas in the UK tends to start just straight after Halloween. In fact, it's quite possible that we'll see, I don't know, Christmas products, chocolates, cakes, that kind of thing in the supermarkets, at the end of September, beginning of October. It's not as commercialised as it is back in the UK, I would say. You start seeing Christmas goods in the shops probably in around November, beginning, middle of November, something like that. But earlier than that, not really, not so much. Anyway, so from a festive Gran Via in the centre of Madrid on Christmas Eve, I've finished my Christmas shopping, and now it's time to head home, get ready and begin the Christmas festivities. So, well, from me, Paul Birch in the centre of Madrid, wishing you all a very, very happy Christmas, and let's hope that this is the first of very many When in Spain YouTube videos. So, until the next time, Feliz Navidad, Felices Fiestas, and hasta luego!